Hello, and welcome to the Better in Business podcast. In today's episode, I'd like to talk to you and educate you around what it looks like to get business coaching. So, you may have had business coaching before, you may not have had business coaching before. I would love to explain to you how coaching works, but exactly how I have developed a system of coaching over the years so that you can understand the system of coaching that we've developed because it really works. Okay. So I have been involved in and around all different forms of coaching. I'm old enough to have come from the days where we had more, like I call it the have a chat coaching style, which is where you catch up with a coach just once a month on the phone, you have a chat and you go from there. And look, there are some coaches that are still doing that. I think it's very redundant. I warn completely against it. And so in today's episode, I want to explain what kind of coaching works because we have seen it all, we've tested and measured, and now we help entrepreneurs knock it out of the ballpark. Okay, so my strategic bookkeeper network globally helps bookkeepers with methodologies and a specific system. Okay, and I want to explain to you that system so you know the kind of coaching that works. Okay, because in your business, if you find that you are struggling, whether it is with win the work stuff or do the work stuff, they are the two sides of your business, there might be a time at which you decide that you want to explore getting some help. And I think this episode, I would love to try and help you understand what kind of help is going to help you and what kind of help you maybe want to try and avoid being sold into. Okay, because as I say, I've seen lots of forms of coaching and I bought different forms of coaching, and I'll share with you for me what worked really well, what didn't work at all, okay, and why I've come up with the system of coaching that I've come up with and the kind of results we see. Okay, I think this episode's going to be amazing, especially because unfortunately 9 out of 10 businesses will fail to thrive ever. Okay, so there's only a very small percentage. And so getting this information today is going to help you be informed so you can make informed choices. Let's jump in. You've tuned into the Better in Business podcast, and I'm your host, Jeannie Savage. I'm a multi-award winning business veteran and head of the Strategic Bookkeeper Network. My network of strategic bookkeepers is dedicated to helping entrepreneurs do better in business. This podcast aims to challenge your thinking. If you're not thinking the right way, how can you act the right way? Each episode will dive into key drivers of success, which I also call the rules of the game. Learn the rules and play to win. Let's go. I like to start every episode by reminding you that it is globally recognized that pillar number one for success is up-to-date, accurate bookkeeping, which is the only way you can see how your business is performing in terms of profit and cash. If your books aren't right up to date, visit betterinbusiness.global, drop me a line and I'll connect you with a certified strategic bookkeeper. Fire your bookkeeper and hire a strategic bookkeeper. Bookkeeping is a cost, whereas strategic bookkeeping is an investment that averages a 10x return on the fees. Okay, my friends, so I'm going to try and keep this episode as short and sweet as I possibly can. I really just want to inform you around the kind of coaching that I think you need to steer well clear of, and then the kind of coaching that we've found in our experience, so the Strategic Bookkeeper Network all around the world, learning my methodology and how it works for clients. And the reason I'd love you to always look for this form of coaching, whether that's coaching with one of my strategic bookkeepers or not, I want you to be informed. Okay, so the kind of coaching that I want you to steer clear of is the have a chat coaching. So it's the coaches that just want to catch up with you either once a week, fortnight, or a month for a discussion style coaching session, but they don't give you an academy with resources and courses in the background, okay? And therefore, you're not accessing business education, everything you need to learn and know, including models that make it visual, make what you need to know visual. Okay, so they lack I would call it the collateral, the resources, and this kind of thing. And it's also a strictly one-to-one model, okay? But ultimately, I'm going to call it the have a chat coaching style. Now I'll explain the kind of coaching ecosystem that I think works absolutely the best, and in my experience working with clients has worked the best. Now, before I do that, I'm also going to caution you completely away from coaches that don't have management accounting skills. So our network of strategic bookkeepers, for example, use the strategic bookkeeping 5-step methodology. So that's numbers 101, numbers knowledge, numbers strategy, numbers targets, and numbers monitoring. So that is the strategic bookkeeper copyright methodology. And it could also be easily called a management accounting methodology. So strategic bookkeepers are double entry accounting clerks, and ultimately they are skilled management accountants, okay? So you might find a coach who is, for example, just a sales and marketing coach. Now, if they present to you that they are just a coach in selling or marketing and that's what you need, that's okay, with a little side note there that then you need to engage a second coach, okay, to make sure they hold you accountable to the numbers. Now, I could give you examples of where this goes really, really pear-shaped. And if I had my way, every coach here in Australia where I live, I do serve bookkeepers and entrepreneurs all over the world. But if I had my way, coaching would be far more regulated, just like bookkeeping is here in Australia and accounting. We come under government acts, it's regulated, we have to be licensed, and unfortunately in coaching they don't. And many moons ago, I remember there was a coach at a child's play centre, like one of those big play centres. I used to take my son there, and they were paying the coach quite a lot of money, but this coach was just coaching around brand marketing and selling, or primarily marketing and selling, I'd say. And the problem lied in the fact that the coach didn't explain to the client that he wasn't going to be working around the numbers. He wasn't going to look at the numbers. He wasn't going to understand fully what it is to do the management accounting or strategic bookkeeping process in the numbers. And this is going to be really problematic. So he was in there trying to increase their cafe prices and all this stuff. Now, I took a look at their numbers, and within no time, I mean within 5-10 minutes, I was able to see that all the work that this coach was doing around the marketing and selling wasn't going to be enough, that this particular play centre had to decide to move or close based on their rent as a percentage of turnover. And there's a whole backstory there to what caused that. But ultimately, all the money spent on that coach was 100% wasted because that coach didn't understand numbers, okay? He didn't have management accounting skills, and it absolutely breaks my heart when I see entrepreneurs get kind of pulled into coaching that is not holistic, okay? You need a holistic coaching approach, and that either requires one coach that can guide you through everything, which would normally include courses and resources, okay? Or you're going to need to get your sales coach, your management accountant, and a few others, okay? So please avoid the one-on-one chat fest coaching. That's all there is to it. And also coaching where you are not held accountable to your numbers in a structured manner on a regular basis, okay? So now I'll go across to the kind of coaching that we do and the kind of coaching that I've developed based on experiences that I've had, because I've had one-on-one coaching and I got a little bit of result out of that, but certainly nothing like what I got when I was finally inside an ecosystem that had an academy. It had courses and resources in there so that I could do work on my own to get a base level of education across like a blueprint, okay? And what we have here is we have the business blueprint. I'm looking at it right now, okay? And it has all the moving parts of what you need to nail on one page. And this is the kind of collateral that will be quite game-changing for you being coached, and also for the coach that is coaching you, because they're going to have a structured framework to work with. So when you're looking for coaching, I would look for someone who has an academy full of courses and resources so that you get a toolkit, okay? Because it doesn't mean that you have to be in there doing a whole lot of work all the time. It should be more like a toolkit that you can carry with you and you can reach inside. And that way too, like these kind of coaching programs like we have, they're more tailored to every entrepreneur because some entrepreneurs are going to need to get more education than others. So that's one of the first things, is to look for a coaching methodology that contains the academy part of it. And the way that I look at it is education, assets, implementation, team and support. And we'll look at that now as well. So the next thing is that the coaching methodologies that I've been part of have some kind of hand holding, okay? The one that we love working with entrepreneurs on, and I've found working with small business entrepreneurs, that most of them do like some one-on-one. Now, one-on-one coaching is always going to push the fee up. So we would want to try and make sure that we give you the option of a one-on-one, a one-to-many, and then just a DIY kind of model. So let's talk about those now. So the one that I find works really well is where we have one structured meeting a month just on numbers. That is where your strategic bookkeeper, for example, is going to be opening up your results in your accounting file, and he or she is positioned to use the 5-step methodology to look at those results with you. Okay, so then you're catching up with your strategic bookkeeper on a monthly basis, looking at your profit and loss, for example, over 12 months, and your other key financials. So when we look at the methodology, okay, so numbers 101, your books are up to date and accurate, therefore you can actually do this. Number 2, when you show up to that meeting, little by little, you're going to get educated. And it blows my mind when I see entrepreneurs go from a place where they don't know much at all about business financials to a year or two later where they tell me that they did something that I'm like, oh my goodness, they just developed the critical drivers of profit, which is something that only a high-end kind of management accountant like myself, like my strategic bookkeepers, would normally be able to do. And it's so exciting because developing this level of acumen of education inside your business is elevating the genius inside your business, okay? And it's one of the critical parts of success. And that's a true story that I told you. And that business now has the market Australia-wide for their actual industry sewn up, okay? So that's that numbers education. The numbers strategy is really your strategic bookkeeper turning the accurate numbers more meaningful more and more over time, okay? So we're working inside what we call the chart of accounts, or the engine of your accounting system. And then you're also looking at, you've got your targets set in the background because that's done early on with your coach, with your strategic bookkeeper, for example. And then when you catch up around those numbers, you're looking at the actual results versus the targets, all right? And the targets are not a stab in the dark. The targets are set from looking at industry benchmarks and in consultation with you as well, okay? So you want a coaching system that holds you accountable to your numbers, and we recommend that's done in a structured way once a month. Now, that meeting might take half an hour, it might take an hour. We've occasionally had times where we've asked clients to catch up with us on a weekly basis for a few weeks as we want to get them on track, okay? So just want to make sure that whatever work you need to do around the numbers you do, it's about the outcome, not the hour, okay? So if you can get it done in 15 minutes, fantastic. If it takes an hour, that's okay as well, all right? So then the coaching system that we find works well broadly for entrepreneurs is that then they have a second meeting with us where they catch up around the operations, okay? And we're working around mindset, productivity, and the operations of the business, so that what they find in the numbers and the action that they've decided they'll take, we can expand on, because that action is around either mindset, productivity, or the mechanics of your business that exist in the operations, okay? So that could be recruiting team, that could be activities around sales, and all of this stuff is linked back to our blueprint and the academy content as well. Now, the academy content, when you're working with coaches in this way, you're going to have a nice linear structure of what you might want to learn, okay, over time, playing the long game, being patient, learn the blueprint, learn the detail of everything behind the blueprint so that you can look to implement all of this and solve the problems that you're struggling with in your business, okay? And these kind of coaching systems that work best also have a range of diagnostic tools tools. Okay, so for example, inside the strategic bookkeeper methodology that's brought to you along with your Better in Business Academy, we have, goodness gracious, now future analysis. So where are you now? Where do you want to be? And how are we going to get there? We have profit scorecards, cash scorecards. We have prosperity scorecards. We have business health checks that score you across every single area of your business to see where you're weak and where you're strong. And diagnostics tells us where we need to focus, where our singular focuses should be, but it also allows us to repeat diagnostics later to see how the business is going and improving and tracking. Okay, so that's a great part of a coaching ecosystem that makes it work. Now, just coming back to education, assets, implementation, team and support. So all the way along, you're being educated 24/7 online in an academy and also in your coaching sessions when you're catching up with your coach. Now, from there, getting the support to build key digital assets, okay? So just like a signature brochure, and I'm not going to go into that too much, except to say that assets, which is collateral within your business, understanding what you need, then getting the support to build it out strategically is transformational across win the work and do the work problems. Okay, so whether you need to win more work or whether you need help around getting it done, like end-to-end business administration, there are key digital assets and collateral like a product ladder, like a signature brochure, like products and pricing strategy, like standard operating procedures, like database nurture systems, assets that you need to build. And so when you have access to the blueprint and the academy and a coach that can support you, you can build out these key assets or collateral, okay? So then there's the implementation part of it, which your coach will be assisting you with. And then in terms of team, your coach assisting you with who you need on the team to support your success and support from your coach as well. So this is the kind of coaching ecosystem that works. And actually, as coaches, we are all engaged in coaching ecosystems ourselves. It is important that your coach is walking the talk, okay? So every year, or even sometimes more often than that, I personally pick a coaching program to be part of, okay? So that my team and I are always learning more and leveling up and really continuing to level up over and over again our coaching ability. And the kind of coaching systems I buy into, look, they can be anywhere from $4,000 a year to $20,000 a year. I'm not as focused on the fee as I am on that being the next really great thing for our business to learn, okay? And strategic bookkeepers who enroll in my Coach the Coach program, they are being coached on a regular basis in the same kind of ecosystem that I explained to you through our Coach the Coach ecosystem and methodology as well. So now let's wrap up with action, okay? The action that I'd like you to take is kind of two things. Number one, avoid, okay? So if you have got a coach that's doing just a talk fest and you're not accountable to the numbers, ask yourself, are you really getting the big results? Because the results that we see is our clients pulling hundreds of thousands of dollars more out of their business, okay? So the biggest result I've personally ever seen with our ecosystem is going from zero or losing money to 100,000 profit a month in 6 months. That said, I feel that it took a couple of years to just make sure we could sustain that result. And what we got to sustain that result, well, a lot of it was around brand story. So there's lots of stuff inside the blueprint that makes the difference. It's not always the things that you would think it is, okay? So having a blueprint and a robust ecosystem for coaching is so critically important. And I don't want to see you getting little results. I want to see you getting the big results in profit, cash, and time wealth, primarily these ones. Also purpose and joy, but I want to see you getting the big ones. So if you're engaged with coaches where you feel like you're just getting a little bit of a result, in my opinion, that's not good enough. And then next time you look at any kind of coaching program, whether it's just one particular thing that you want to learn, like how to run a summit, whether it's more holistic end-to-end business coaching, like what we have inside the Better in Business Academy and our strategic bookkeepers work on, no matter what it is, look for the markers of what I've talked to you about today. Look for a complete, robust digital ecosystem of coaching that's going to give you 24/7 access to courses, resources, tools, as well as the hand-holding implementation support that makes the difference as well. My friends, that's a wrap on this podcast. I'll see you in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I enjoyed recording it. I would love to help you start doing better in business right now by giving you a free little ebook. It's a how-to guide. It's called The 7 Deadly Cash Flow Sins. And also I've developed a business health check for you. It's super high value. Both are available at betterinbusiness.global. If you would like to fire your bookkeeper and hire a strategic bookkeeper to start enjoying a return on investment and get the support you need to optimize your business cash and profit and time wealth, simply visit betterinbusiness.global, drop me a line and I'll connect you with a certified strategic bookkeeper near you. I'll see you in the next episode.